Earth stood on the brink of collapse, its once thriving cities now little more than smoldering ruins. The war that had raged for years had taken a devastating toll. The alien invaders, relentless and merciless, had picked apart humanity's defenses with a precision that left little room for hope. What remained of the human fleet was scattered across the galaxy, a fragmented force struggling to hold the line as the invaders closed in. Morale was shattered, and across the remnants of human civilization, despair hung like a suffocating shroud. The impact of the war was felt in every corner of human society. Families were torn apart, entire cities reduced to rubble, and the once abundant resources that fueled Earth's colonies were now critically low. Food shortages and power outages had become the norm. The fear of impending doom was palpable, a constant companion to the survivors who clung to life in the war-ravaged world. Hope was a rare commodity, overshadowed by the daily reality of loss and the growing sense that extinction was inevitable. In this bleak landscape, the alien invaders made their intentions clear. A broadcast, sent across all remaining channels, delivered an ultimatum: surrender and be spared, or face total annihilation. The message was simple, the arrogance of the invaders unmistakable. They believed humanity had no choice but to capitulate, to accept their place as a defeated species. It was a message meant to break what little resolve remained, to push humanity over the edge into submission. Inside the war room, the atmosphere was tense. The human leadership, haggard and worn from years of unrelenting conflict, faced the grim reality of their situation. The options before them were few, and none offered much in the way of hope. Some argued for surrender, believing that it was the only way to save what was left of their people. They spoke of survival, of preserving the future, even if it meant living under the rule of their conquerors. But not everyone was willing to accept defeat. Among the leaders was a commander who had seen the worst of the war, who had fought in the most desperate of battles, and who still believed in the resilience of humanity. Surrender, in the commander's eyes, was not an option. It would mean the death of everything humanity had ever stood for: their freedom, their spirit, their very identity. To surrender would be to admit that the invaders were right, that humanity was weak and undeserving of its place in the galaxy. The commander stood, a figure of defiance in the face of overwhelming odds, and proposed a plan, a final, desperate gamble that would either save humanity or doom it entirely. The plan was audacious, a high-risk strategy that would involve using the last of their resources, the remnants of their fleet, and every ounce of courage they had left. It was a plan that would strike at the heart of the alien command, a move that, if successful, could turn the tide of the war. The room fell silent as the commander spoke, outlining the details of the operation. There was no room for error, no second chances. The plan required absolute precision, flawless execution, and above all, a belief that they could still win. The commander's voice carried the weight of conviction, a spark of hope that had long been extinguished in the hearts of many. The decision was clear: they would fight. They would not go quietly into the night. They would not surrender their world without a final stand. As the meeting ended, the leaders knew what was at stake. The weight of their decision bore heavily on their shoulders, but there was a sense of resolve that had been absent for far too long. This was their last chance, their final opportunity to show the invaders that humanity was not broken. The coming battle would determine the fate of their species, and they would face it with everything they had left. The stage was set for the ultimate confrontation, a battle that would either seal humanity's fate or mark the beginning of their resurgence. The alien invaders had started this war, but now, with their backs against the wall, humanity was ready to end it, on their own terms. The commander's declaration echoed in the hearts of every soldier, every civilian who still believed in the possibility of victory. They would not surrender, they would not falter, and they would fight until the very end. The plan was as bold as it was desperate. Humanity's last hope rested on technology that had been developed in the shadows, far from the prying eyes of their alien adversaries. Stealth technology, once considered a distant dream, had become a reality. This was not just any stealth. It was a breakthrough that rendered human ships nearly invisible to the most advanced alien sensors. It was their ace in the hole, the one advantage they had managed to keep hidden throughout the long years of war. Now, As humanity stood on the brink of extinction, it was time to bring this secret weapon into play. The human fleet, battered but unbroken, was divided into smaller groups. Each group was assigned a specific role in the coming operation. Some were tasked with the decoy maneuvers, a critical part of the overall strategy. These decoy operations were designed to play on the aliens' expectations and arrogance. The human ships, using conventional cloaking and misdirection techniques, simulated full-scale retreats and fake battle formations. To the alien sensors, it would appear as though the human forces were fractured and fleeing in disarray, desperate to escape annihilation. These decoys were more than just a distraction. They were a carefully orchestrated ruse meant to lure the alien fleet into specific areas of space. The aliens, confident in their superiority and eager to deliver the final blow, would see these apparent retreats as the last gasp of a defeated enemy. They would chase these phantom fleets, spreading their forces thinner and thinner as they pursued what they believed were the last remnants of humanity's military. Meanwhile, the main human fleet, cloaked in advanced stealth, moved silently through the void. Their destination, the alien command center, the heart of the enemy's operations, located deep within enemy-controlled space. This was the high-risk strategy at the core of the plan. By striking at the very heart of the alien command structure, humanity hoped to decapitate the leadership, throw the alien forces into chaos, and buy enough time to regroup and counterattack. The tension among the human commanders was palpable. They knew that the success of the entire operation hinged on the flawless execution of each phase. If the decoys failed to draw the alien fleet away, or if the stealth technology faltered at the wrong moment, the entire human fleet would be exposed and vulnerable. There would be no second chances. The commanders, veterans of countless battles, understood the stakes all too well. They communicated in terse, clipped tones, each word measured, each decision weighed carefully. There was no room for error. As the decoy operations commenced, the alien forces took the bait, just as humanity had hoped. Alien ships, driven by overconfidence and a desire to crush their enemy, surged forward in pursuit of the retreating human fleets. The aliens had always considered humans to be inferior, incapable of true strategic brilliance. To them, this was just another chase, another opportunity to prove their dominance. They failed to recognize the trap that was being set for them. As the alien fleet spread thinner, the main human fleet continued its approach, inching closer to the alien command center with every passing moment. The stealth technology held, keeping them hidden from the enemy's sensors. The human ships moved with a precision born from years of desperation and survival. They knew that this was their moment, their last chance to turn the tide of the war. Every crew member was focused, every system running at peak efficiency. There could be no mistakes. With each decoy maneuver, the tension among the human commanders increased. The decoys were doing their job, drawing more and more of the alien fleet away from the command center. But the risk was ever present. The aliens, despite their arrogance, were not fools. If they realized what was happening too soon, they could regroup and strike back before the human fleet reached its target. The clock was ticking, and every second counted. The alien response was predictable, yet dangerous. Believing they had the humans on the run, the alien commanders ordered their ships to pursue aggressively. The alien fleet was now spread thin, its forces scattered across multiple sectors as they chased down the decoys. They believed they were closing in on victory, unaware that they were playing directly into the hands of their adversaries. As the human fleet approached the alien command center, the final pieces of the plan fell into place. The decoys had done their job, and the alien fleet was now hopelessly out of position. The human commanders, still tense but resolute, prepared for the final phase of the operation. They knew that this was the moment they had been waiting for, the moment that would determine the fate of their species. The trap was set, and humanity was ready to spring it. The alien forces, spread thin and overextended, were about to face a reckoning they had never anticipated. The stage was set for the final, decisive blow that would either secure humanity's survival or consign it to oblivion. In the silence of space, the human fleet prepared to strike, knowing that they had come too far to fail now. The war was about to take a turn, one that the alien invaders would never see coming. The human fleet, cloaked in the cutting-edge stealth technology that had kept it hidden from the alien invaders, moved silently through space. Every movement was calculated, every maneuver carefully planned to avoid detection. The alien patrols, diligent yet unsuspecting, passed by the fleet without the slightest inkling of the threat slipping right under their noses. The human ships navigated through the enemy's territory with a focus and precision that had been honed through years of relentless warfare. They were getting closer to their target, the alien command center, the nerve center of the enemy's entire war effort. Inside the human command ships, the atmosphere was tense, every crew member acutely aware of the stakes. The commanders had identified the key targets within the alien command structure, critical ships that served as the brain of the alien fleet, communication hubs that coordinated their vast forces, and leadership vessels where the enemy's high command operated. These targets were not chosen at random. They were the linchpins of the alien war machine. Destroy them, and the entire enemy force would be thrown into disarray, giving humanity a fighting chance to turn the tide. The alien leaders, confident in their perceived superiority, remained blissfully unaware of the trap being laid for them. Their focus was still on the decoy operations, believing they were closing in on the last remnants of the human fleet. Reports of scattered human ships retreating in different directions only reinforced their belief that victory was near. The possibility that the humans might be planning something more than a desperate last stand never crossed their minds. Their arrogance, their underestimation of humanity's resolve and ingenuity, was about to become their greatest downfall. The human fleet continued its approach, inching ever closer to the heart of the alien command center. The tension among the human commanders was palpable, but their resolve was unshakable. They knew that this was the moment of truth, the point at which all their planning and sacrifices would either pay off or be in vain. The final orders were given with a calm authority that belied the anxiety that gnawed at the edges of everyone's mind. This was humanity's last chance to change the course of the war, to strike a blow that could cripple the enemy and give Earth the breathing room it so desperately needed. Then came the moment. The human fleet, now in position, waited in a tense, almost unbearable silence. The commanders watched the alien command center on their screens, the critical targets highlighted and locked in. The ships were ready, weapons primed and aimed with deadly accuracy. The crews braced themselves, knowing that the next few minutes would determine the fate of their entire species. The alien forces, still oblivious, continued their pursuit of the decoy fleets, completely unaware that the true danger lay right behind them. On the signal from the lead commander, the human fleet unleashed its fury. The first wave of the attack was a symphony of destruction, executed with precision and devastating force. The strategic targets were hit simultaneously, the stealthy human ships suddenly revealing themselves in a blaze of firepower. Critical alien ships, including command vessels and communication hubs, were obliterated in seconds, their shields no match for the concentrated assault. The once coordinated alien fleet was plunged into chaos as their command structure was decimated. The alien leaders, caught entirely off guard, struggled to make sense of the sudden onslaught. The overconfidence that had kept them blind to the real threat now left them vulnerable and exposed. Orders were given and countermanded, confusion reigning as the remaining alien ships scrambled to respond. But it was too late. The damage had been done. The human fleet pressed its advantage, continuing the attack with relentless determination. Every strike was calculated, every shot intended to maximize the impact and further disorient the alien forces. As the alien command center fell into disarray, the human commanders knew that their gamble had paid off. The trap had been set, and the enemy had walked right into it. The aliens, who had once believed themselves invincible, were now on the defensive, their fleet in shambles. The human fleet, driven by a deep-seated resolve to protect their home, pushed forward with a ferocity that left no room for doubt. They had come this far, and now, with the alien forces in retreat, they could see the possibility of victory on the horizon. The first wave of the attack had crippled the alien command center, but the battle was far from over. The human fleet continued its relentless assault, determined to dismantle what remained of the alien war machine. The aliens, now leaderless and disorganized, struggled to regroup, but the coordinated human strikes made it nearly impossible. The tide of the war had shifted, and for the first time in years, humanity was on the offensive. In the silence that followed each successful strike, the realization began to sink in. The human fleet, once thought to be on the verge of annihilation, had turned the tables. The trap had worked, and the aliens, who had started the war with such confidence, were now fighting for survival. The war was far from over, but the balance had shifted, and humanity. The battle continued, but the outcome was becoming increasingly clear. The alien forces, so sure of their victory, were now on the run, their command center in ruins, their fleet in disarray. The human fleet, having set the trap and sprung it with devastating effect, had done the impossible. They had turned the tide of a war that had seemed all but lost. And now, with the alien forces reeling, humanity was ready to finish what they had started. The initial assault had delivered a crippling blow to the alien command center. Critical leadership vessels were destroyed, and essential communication hubs went dark, severing the alien fleet's ability to coordinate. Chaos ensued as orders became fragmented and confused transmissions filled the void where clear directives once flowed. The alien hierarchy, once a model of efficiency and control, was now a disjointed web of uncertainty and panic. Ships that had operated in perfect harmony now acted independently, their actions erratic and uncoordinated. The once formidable and united alien force was unraveling, its structure compromised by the sudden and devastating loss of its command backbone. Amidst this turmoil, the human fleet pressed forward with unwavering determination. The cost of the conflict had been immense, and losses were deeply felt across every vessel and crew. Yet, the resolve to protect what remained of humanity burned brighter than ever. Each ship, each crew member, understood the gravity of their mission. They fought not just for survival, but for the hope of a future free from oppression. The weight of responsibility was heavy, but it fueled their relentless assault. Despite the heavy casualties, the human forces continued to advance, their attacks precise and unyielding. Every strike was a testament to their resilience, a declaration that they would not succumb to despair or defeat. The aliens, now leaderless and disoriented, struggled to mount an effective defense. Their overconfidence, once a source of strength, had blinded them to the possibility of such a coordinated and devastating human counterattack. Without clear leadership, the alien ships hesitated, unsure of their next move. Commands were delayed, and when issued, often contradictory. The absence of a unified strategy led to fragmented responses, with ships either retreating aimlessly or launching sporadic, ineffective counterattacks. The alien forces, accustomed to dominance and control, found themselves unable to adapt to the rapidly changing dynamics of the battle. Their technological superiority and vast numbers were rendered moot in the face of their internal disarray. As the human fleet continued its assault, the momentum of the battle began to shift unmistakably in their favor. Each successful engagement further destabilized the already fractured alien forces. Human tactics, honed through desperation and necessity, proved highly effective against the disorganized alien responses. The humans exploited every weakness, every moment of hesitation, turning the tide with calculated precision. Alien ships fell one after another, their attempts to regroup and counterattack falling short against the relentless human onslaught. The once overwhelming alien fleet was now visibly faltering, their confidence shattered by the ferocity and effectiveness of the human attacks. The balance of power had begun to tip, with humanity asserting its resilience and tactical ingenuity. With each passing moment, victory for the human fleet became increasingly attainable. The alien forces, stretched thin and struggling to maintain cohesion, were on the verge of collapse. The human commanders recognized the critical juncture they had reached. Determined to capitalize on their advantage, they directed their remaining forces with renewed vigor and strategic insight. Coordinated strikes targeted the last pockets of resistance, aiming to dismantle whatever cohesion remained within the alien fleet. The human ships moved with a sense of purpose and urgency, each action calculated to maximize impact and drive the enemy further into disarray. The collective effort of the human fleet was a testament to their unwavering commitment to end the war and secure their future. As the battle raged on, the cumulative effect of the human assault became undeniable. The alien fleet, once a symbol of overwhelming power, was now visibly deteriorating under the sustained pressure. Communication breakdowns led to missed opportunities and failed defenses, while the absence of leadership caused strategic paralysis. The human fleet, sensing the impending victory, intensified their efforts, pushing the alien forces to their limits. Each successful hit further eroded the aliens' ability to sustain the fight, gradually reducing their operational capacity. The relentless human advance left little room for the aliens to regroup or mount an effective resistance. The turning point had been reached, and the outcome of the war was beginning to crystallize in favor of humanity. In these decisive moments, the human commanders felt a surge of hope and determination. The relentless pressure applied to the alien forces was beginning to yield tangible results. The alien fleet, once confident in its superiority, was now visibly retreating, their morale crushed by the effective and unyielding human assault. The tide of battle had unmistakably turned, with humanity gaining the upper hand through sheer resilience and strategic brilliance. The realization that victory was within reach fueled the human forces, driving them to press their advantage with even greater intensity. The collective effort of humanity, forged in the fires of desperation and united by a common cause, was proving to be the decisive factor in the conflict. As the battle continued, the signs of imminent victory became more pronounced. The alien forces, unable to recover from the sustained human attacks and the loss of their command structure, began to falter. Their once formidable fleet was now fragmented and disorganized, struggling to respond coherently to the relentless human assault. The human commanders, recognizing the critical opportunity before them, directed their forces to deliver the final, decisive blows. Each strike was executed with precision, aimed at ensuring the complete dismantling of the alien war effort. The human fleet moved with a coordinated ferocity, their actions driven by the imperative to end the war and secure a future for humanity. The final stage of the battle was swift and decisive. The human fleet, now fully in control, delivered a crushing blow to the alien command center. The precision and intensity of the assault ensured that the remaining structures, already weakened by previous strikes, crumbled under the barrage. The alien command, already fractured and disoriented, disintegrated completely as the last vestiges of their leadership were obliterated. Without direction or cohesion, the alien forces, once the terror of the galaxy, found themselves leaderless and adrift, their morale shattered. The remnants of their fleet, sensing the futility of further resistance, began a chaotic and hasty retreat, abandoning their positions in a desperate bid for survival. In the wake of this decisive victory, the human commander seized the moment to send a message across the galaxy. This was no mere declaration of victory, it was a statement of intent. The message was clear: humanity had not only survived the war but had emerged from it stronger and more determined than ever. The human commander, with the weight of the war's sacrifices behind them, declared the conflict over, on humanity's terms. There would be no negotiations, no concessions, no mercy extended to those who had sought to exterminate them. The aliens would have no opportunity for revenge or reconciliation. They had started this war, but humanity had ended it. The impact of this declaration resonated far beyond the battlefield. The alien empire, once a dominant force feared throughout the galaxy, was left in ruins. Their leadership had been decimated, their fleet reduced to scattered remnants fleeing in disarray. The empire that had once seemed unassailable was now a shadow of its former self, its power broken by the very species it had sought to conquer. The galaxy watched in stunned silence as the news of humanity's victory spread. Other species, who had long lived under the threat of the alien empire's dominance, now saw humanity in a new light, a force to be respected, and perhaps even feared. The balance of power had shifted, and humanity, once on the brink of extinction, had proven itself capable of standing against even the most formidable adversaries. Back on Earth, the focus began to shift from war to recovery. The toll of the conflict had been immense. Cities lay in ruins, resources were depleted, and the population had endured years of hardship and loss. But with the end of the war came a renewed sense of hope and unity. Humanity had faced the brink of extinction and had emerged victorious, and now the task of rebuilding could begin. The scars of the war would take time to heal, but there was a shared determination to restore what had been lost and to build a future where such a threat could never arise again. Communities began to rebuild, industries started to recover, and the once fractured world began to come together with a sense of purpose that had been forged in the fires of survival. As humanity looked to the future, the lessons of the war were not forgotten. The victory had come at a great cost, and the sacrifices made along the way were a stark reminder of the importance of resolve, strategy, and the will to fight for survival. The war had tested the very fabric of human society, and in the end, it had proven resilient and capable of overcoming even the most dire of challenges. The resolve to protect their way of life, the ingenuity to outmaneuver a superior enemy, and the courage to face overwhelming odds had carried humanity through the darkest of times. These lessons would guide them as they moved forward, determined to ensure that the galaxy would never again underestimate their strength. The story ended with a reflection on the path humanity had taken. They had not only survived, they had proven that they were a power to be reckoned with. The war had reshaped their place in the galaxy, and as they looked to the stars, they did so with a renewed sense of purpose. The final words carried a hint of what was to come. Humanity, having emerged from the crucible of war, was now ready to take its place among the stars.